The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to another Soccer to the Max as the United States Women's National Team a few hours ago defeated Mexico 4-1. The scoreline makes it seem like it was sort of a resounding victory, and I guess you could call it that, but there were some things to discuss, certainly, from certain players, positive and negative. And, of course, I'm your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me to talk about that and biobanding, MLS and NWSL results, and some more things, Miss Rachael McKriger.
Hey, folks, what a game we had today. What a second half. What an Alex Morgan.
What an Alyssa Naeher, too. Proving that she sucks. No, I shouldn't say that. It's proving that she has her moments. And, of course, also here, Mr. Erik Watkins.
Right in my backyard where the game was held, and I don't know if I should feel glad that circumstances prevented me from showing up or what, but it is what it is. And as a slight omission from last week, congratulations to the Baltimore Blast, 3-time defending Ron Newman Cup champions, heading south of the border to Mexico to do it again, this time beating Monterrey.
Wait, what now? 3-time.
Ron Newman Cup.
Okay,
That's the
okay.
name. Yeah, MASL indoor
I'm sorry,
soccer.
I heard ramen noodle. Yeah, I don't know why I heard ramen noodle, but maybe it's because I had some ramen noodles today. It was on the brain. I don't know.
That would make sense.
I know you were like sitting there going, "How did that happen?" But yeah.
Exactly. I was like,
Kind of like Alyssa Naeher wondering how that chip happened.
Between that and that kind of a whiff in the NASL last week, that's just Nair being Nair at this point. I mean, come on.
NASL?
In WSL. Gee, see, now you got you. All right. And yes, folks, I am sober despite my better judgments.
Hey, at least the NASL is playing in the Open Cup, so
True.
they got some kind of win.
Mhm.
So, what did you think? You were rather angry about the starting 11, Rachel, when it came out. What did you think about the game?
I don't like Crystal Dunn as a defender. She did a good job tonight. She did a good job when she played it in the She Believes Cup. I'm sure she did a great job at it in college. But I just don't like it. She's a forward. She plays forward for North Carolina. I don't like Crystal Dunn as I almost said as a forward, as a defender. It just bothers me. I was shocked to see Becky Sauerbrunn hit the bench for Tierna Davidson. As much as I like Abby Dahlkemper and what she can do, I would love to see Tierna Davidson and Becky Sauerbrunn play together. I thought the midfield looked pretty good. I'm happy Carly Lloyd didn't start the match. But at forward, I wanted to see more from Megan Rapinoe. I thought we could have gotten more from her, but I mean, when you're playing with Alex Morgan, who's playing some of the best soccer in her life right now, it's hard to do that. But my biggest qualms were with the defense and with the goalkeeper, because Alyssa Naeher is just not good. And if you start her in France in the 2019 World Cup, I mean, shoot, even if you start her in October in the CONCACAF qualifying, Costa Rica could put some goals behind her easily.
Well, yeah, and I think what you mentioned about Crystal Dunn, I think you saw some of the good and the bad in this one. She can run. Obviously, she has the speed to get back when she needs to. She set up one of the goals, or one of her passes led to one of the goals. But there was times where she was out of position. There's times where she didn't make the correct pass. Her crosses were not good. That's something that you got to be able to do well as a back. Is if you're going forward, you're not making those crosses. It's not helping.
Another thing too is towards the end of the match, she wanted to kind of like put one past Mexico's goalkeeper, but at the same time, she had a wide open Ashley Hatch. She should have dished the ball off to Ashley Hatch instead of trying to score herself. And that's where the forward in her came into play.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm too big a fan of what they did during parts of the game as well of, hey, let's get both of Haran and Dunn forward and then put a lot of pressure on a 3-person defense and then having Andy Sullivan back there as sort of the, the last-ditch defense if, we need somebody in midfield to be in front of them. But it's just, you can't do that in a situation where we're not playing Mexico, or you're probably going to get eaten alive against the better teams like that. So, I don't know. Obviously, you can change tactics depending on who you're playing. You can experiment right now, right, Erik? Like, with Dunn if you want to, but...
Yeah. Now is the time to where, okay, they were comparing her in the broadcast to Marcelo at Real Madrid. Fine. Experiment in these friendlies, but at the same time, you have to know the weaknesses of this experiment. She was much more comfortable making those runs on the wing and going forward. Plus, I thought her presence at forward would have been much better because we created so many opportunities in the attacking third, and especially in Mexico's 18 in the first half. But I don't know if there was an issue with the footing or if it was an issue of miscommunication, but there were so many chances that were just not put away. And when you're taking a dynamic offensive weapon away when it's really needed to potentially shut down the game in those first 20 minutes, you're not doing yourselves any favors.
Yeah, you're not. But I get what she's doing. It's just I thought this whole point was to try to figure out, what you're trying to do for the qualifying and for the World Cup going forward once you got to this point. I get it. You got injuries, and especially, Kelly O'Hara's not there, so you got to do what you got to do. And I think that might have also hurt Megan Rapinoe as well, because I think she's used to playing with Kelly O'Hara.
Well, and their whole midfield is injured too. I mean, they're without Sam Mewis too. I mean, that's Julie Ertz. Those are two big names that are regular starters too.
I thought Sullivan did okay. There's times where she made bad passes and was kind of caught sometimes on the counter. But that's really what Mexico was playing at too. That's what they were doing for the most part until they got really down and they just had to go for it. But for the most part, I thought she was fine, and I thought Tina Davidson was pretty good. Like you said, I hope they're able to switch it up, and let's see what Davidson and Sauerbrunn can do. I get that you have Dahlkemper there that can kind of deliver the long crosses or the long passes if you need to, and that might be something that maybe Becky can't do as well. So you might want to have her in for that. But hey, this is why you have subs, right? If you're in a sticky situation, like somehow Mexico is up on you or they're closer than the 4-1, you can put her in and that gives you right back where you were. So I just hope we get to see her experiment a little bit more. But what we've seen is she just starts a lot of the same players in both games. Hopefully she doesn't. And for God's sakes, please don't start Alyssa Naeher. after the bungle that she had in this game.
Again, 2 bungles in the span of about a week.
But didn't she do this before, though? Like, Naeher had the bungle and she still started?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, multiple times. I had a big qualm, too, with the fact that they didn't even put in Sofia Huerta. Like, she used to play for Mexico. It was just picture perfect what they could do with that whole situation. She could have made history. She's a great player. I know Jill loves starting her on defense, but she's a great midfielder who just assisted 2 of Alyssa Motz's goals this weekend. I don't understand why they didn't put her in, and it made me so mad.
This is why I say I hope she pays attention to things like this, especially for Sunday. But hope in one hand, you know the rest.
I thought Morgan Bryan played well too. There was times where maybe she kind of stepped in front of Rapinoe to take a shot that maybe she shouldn't have, but other than that, I thought that whole midfield was pretty active for not having the total starters in there. It just, for the most part, Mexico really just didn't. There was times where they threatened them, but it was more of a miscue or something like that. I know, obviously, against bigger teams, that's going to be a problem. But they responded well. That second half was way better. Carly Lloyd could be the Clint Dempsey of U.S. Women's National Team. Come in and provide that absolute spark. I know she wants to start, and I'm sure she can still go for a large period and show she can play the whole time if she wants to. But she just provided that big spark there that really fueled those goals. So I don't know. How do y'all feel about that? You think she works better as a super sub at this point?
Definitely. Bring her on. I mean, it doesn't even have to be at the bitter end. Bring her on for the last 30 minutes. Especially if things are good. She can come out there, close off the game, or if you need that offensive boost like tonight, she's perfect for it.
Oh yeah, she's the Clint Dempsey of the men's team.
Yeah, it's just, I think she's obviously, she said she was super motivated, and hey, she got her 99th goal, so one more, and she's got the 100, so that's pretty awesome for her. And if only you could get one Alyssa Krieger to get her 100th cap, that'd be nice.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry.
Hey, Jill, she's a natural defender. You know who isn't a natural defender? Crystal Dunn and Sofia Huerta. Do you see my point, gentlemen?
I see your point.
I'm right there with you. But again, you know how many times I've screamed at people who don't make any common sense? Don, Ben, Bruce,
Jill.
Are you just some sort of, oh God, 3 is a triumvirate. Damn it, what would be the word for 4? Damn it, now I'm going to have to look something up. Damn it, Jill!
Quadruplet?
You pulled my whole spiel here. Jesus.
I don't know how that goes. Most thing I could come up with is quadruplet. I don't think that works. But
Tetra. Damn it, Latin crap.
I think that'd be 6, right?
No, tetra is also used for 4. 6 is hex.
Oh, fuck it. Why are we doing math on a soccer show? I don't know.
Considering is how I actually devised an ingenious point system for our predictions that we haven't gotten around to, that's part of why I'm here.
We'll get to those at some point. If we can ever do the preview show, that would happen. Yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to Sunday. Who they start, who comes in. Maybe we do see Sofia Huerta. At least you saw Ashley Hatch.
That's my girl. She is just the best. I also have a qualm about her in the NWSL.
Why?
Because Megan Rapinoe wins NWSL Player of the Week, Week 1, for scoring a goal and also providing an assist in the Washington Spirit game against Orlando. Ashley Hatch provides a goal, provides an assist. Mallory Pugh only scores a goal. Who gets the NWSL Player of the Week? Mallory Pugh. Voters, come on now.
Yeah,
Look, they already missed the train on the whole ice cream gimmick, so now we know you're just playing needless favorites. You had your chance, people.
I will say, Mallory Pugh was very active in this game. She was on it for the most part. I mean, I don't know what's left to say about her, but whatever Megan Rapinoe was not doing, Mallory Pugh was doing in this game. So I especially love the ones where she would run all the way from the back to go forward and then make something happen. And it's like, I think she's really going to be one of those like complete players for the U.S. And like, how young is she at this point? That's amazing to me.
I mean, to think 2019, potentially 2023, 2027, not out of the question.
Definitely not. And just, I don't know what else is left to say about Alex Morgan. Like Rachel said, she's freaking crazy right now. Like, that shot that she hits from that angle, that's nuts.
Yeah, that made up for the kind of a gift of a penalty that she won and successfully converted.
I wonder how much. I agree with you that I hate that she got that penalty, but I wonder how much that really would have changed things.
I mean, granted, it wouldn't, but at the same time, after that, you could tell Mexico was pretty discombobulated, and the floodgates opened.
Yeah, it happened right at the like worst time for them. But yeah, I mean, pretty at the end, a blowout win. Let's see what happens on Sunday. Anything else you want to say, Rachel, about the game here?
Start Ashley Hatch on Sunday, and please get Alyssa Naeher out a goal.
Jane Campbell. Let's see it. Come on, Jill.
Okay, anybody at Squid Sports Head, if you're an expert in Latin, could you please tweet me the word that I'm thinking about? I know 3 is a triumvirate, but what's the word for 4? Please, help a brother out.
Please, we need to see it. And before we get out of this talk here, since we mentioned NWSL, they are on a little break because of the international stuff. Thankfully for them, they don't have another one, I think, until June when the U.S. women's national team plays again. So after Sunday, they'll have a pretty consistent schedule for the most part. But they did have the game on the 30th with Houston and Utah going nils. Washington, as Rachel mentioned, Mallory Pugh and Ashley Hatch with the 2 goals to defeat Eric's Orlando.
Ubogagu came so close. So close.
That's the new ha since.
I got it. I got the win this time. I'm happy.
Courage and Sky Blue in the Sky Blue's first game, nils as well. And Portland and Chicago had one hell of a game, 3-2.
Well, Sam Kerr's not with Chicago right now. She's playing for Australia.
Still, gotta give Chicago credit for almost making the comeback, though. But still, going down, 3-0? That's always going to be rough. Lindsey Horan couldn't score for the women's national team, but she scored for Portland at least. What are you saying, Eric?
No, I was going to say, coming back down from 3-0 isn't good for some teams.
Yes. For some teams, unless you have one Zlatan Ibrahimovic on your team, and he just says, you know what? It's time for Zlatan. And he goes and puts on one hell of a show. Look, I didn't watch this whole game. I watched parts of it. But John Strong is not wrong with his goal calls for both of the Zlatan goals. Just like that first goal that he scores, it's like, dude, come on, man. Like
that was not fair. Did you just like glitch on FIFA for Xbox? Did you press the button or something? My God.
I mean, Tyler Miller, what are you doing as well? But yeah, that was incredible. And then the winning goal, it's like that was just like pure Zlatan right there. Like, oh, I'm just gonna outpower you. No big deal. Ashley Cole to Zlatan, get used to that. That's probably happening quite a few times. That was awesome too. So as much as I wanted LAFC to get the win,
we've already got our first hashtag, and I'm hoping that Schweinsteiger, I can come up with a better hashtag for him, because right now the leader is hashtag don't mess with the Zlatan.
I like it. Don't mess with the Zlatan. You've been Zlatan'd, whatever we want to come up with here. There's so many things you could come up with that man. He's what did he say? He felt like he played 40 games in 20 minutes. Like he literally like came off a plane and played.
Yeah. And the fact afterwards, he's like, I heard the crowd chanting, we want Zlatan, so I gave them Zlatan. Those are like his exact words, and he's like, yeah, here, bye.
You know what? When you can do what he did, don't matter, man. It doesn't matter. He can be so full of himself, it does not matter, because
he backed it up.
Backed it up.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Welcome to MLS, Zlatan. You just lit the world on fire. You know, that old saying, you can't teach class? He just proved it right there. Just, dude came when he could still go. And I hope these years that he's going to be there and playing in America are going to be fun.
Yep. We have officially been blessed with Zlatan's pimp hand. We will see it often.
Wonder if Sweden's going to see it at the World Cup. We'll see.
Maybe.
You know, if things keep going the way they are, the U.S. may not be seeing the World Cup in 2026. More countries keep going in support for Morocco. So
well, as is, we've also got issues because we've officially been invited to Copa America in 2019. So, we got a few different things on our plate right now.
Whoever the coach is, you better send the A team to Copa America. I'm tired of getting the C team going over to Copa America. Just stop it.
Well, we're close to getting a general manager, which I get why we're trying to create this position at the head of U.S. soccer, but no. You don't just randomly do stuff and create new positions and change things.
Well, this is an American thing, so Why not? And they're not the only ones. There's other general managers.
I get it, but you don't do this to fix a broken situation. Have we learned nothing from the Chicago Cubs and them having an athletic director for their college of coaches in the 60s? Yeah, how well did that do?
I know, but what's the difference between the technical director and the general manager? I mean, it's kind of the same thing. They just want that person in between Cordero and the coach, so it's not just Cordero's call. It's not just him.
But the technical director, that's also you're controlling the youth ranks. You have a little bit more of a say-so in player development as far as with club teams. I get that. From everything I've seen, the general manager's purpose is getting a new coach for the senior team.
Yeah, but Todd Ramos already does that pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, we talked about it, right? The youth teams are not the problem right now.
No. Well, up to the U20s. U23s to be determined.
Well, we'll see. The U.S. Soccer is now trying to figure out how to deal with early development and late development when it comes to maturity level in players by developing this concept called biobanding, which they released a big video for biobanding that sort of explains that obviously humans all develop at different times when it comes to the puberty portion. So some people develop everything quickly at like 13, 14. Some are late bloomers and they develop, 16, 17, 18. So in order to fight this notion that quick maturity means you're going to be great, they are trying to use statistics and math and parental height and your height to predict your bioband and be able to match players based on their bioband so that when they're being watched by coaches, they're not having really small players go up against bigger players, more faster, stronger players because they matured faster, which all makes sense, right?
Yeah.
In a way, but they also still want to use the chronological age system. So basically you're going to set up camps where you're going to do this, and this is somehow going to help curb this by doing it twice a year or something. I don't know. I think that you need to do this in a more long-form setting for it to work. But
yeah,
what do you think?
This sounds initially straight out of something like Altered Carbon, and then on further explanation and doing a deep dive, it just sounds cumbersome.
Well, they're starting it in Texas. The South Texas Development Academy clubs are going to compete in boys and girls games April 21st and 22nd. And they're going to have these bioband percentages. And they're going to see how this goes. They already have a thing called the Futures Camp, which takes late maturing players and players born in the second half of the calendar year to a new youth national team camp. So I guess this is just another way to see, because apparently there's statistics that prove that just because you mature faster, younger, doesn't mean that you're going to be a great pro player. So they're trying to figure out a way to fix that. I don't know.
I get it. I don't know if I like it yet.
Well, we kind of need to see it in action, right? We kind of need to see that it actually means something. And that's the problem, because to a lot of people, this looks like a bunch of numbers. And this looks like them trying to do something just to do something. To say, hey, we're trying to change the youth system, but we're kind of not. So, I don't know. You said it kind of sounds stupid, Rachel, when we talked about it off air.
I don't know. I just kind of saw the video online and it really just didn't make sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, I just think we need to see this in practice and see one of these players that got bio-banded that are late maturing, like, become something or show promise, and then, you can say, hey, it works. But right now, it's just it's a concept that needs to be given more thought. Speaking of more concept, Toronto FC certainly had the concept of putting an all-in when it comes to CONCACAF Champions League this season, and it has borne fruit so far as they wanted a shutout, but they got the next best thing in a 3-1 win at BMO Field. And now you got to go to Azteca Stadium, which is not a guaranteed place that you play well. But Toronto played well in this game. You think they can do enough to go through?
Considering is how they played as well as they did, Giovinco, Altidore got going in just some borderline god-awful conditions. Knowing that America has to win 2-0, it's going to be close. But I think Toronto gets it done. Barely.
I mean, this has happened before. And then America just won 5-1. So
yeah, that's why I'm not entirely getting my hopes up. But at the same time, Toronto has to realize the pressure is on America right now.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto's kind of playing with house money, and that's just even going into this semifinal tie. Now that you've got a 3-1 win, you've done your job. Pressure's on them at Azteca to do enough to win in advance.
Red Bull lost 1-0 in their game, so they're totally not out of it, obviously, but losing does not help you.
It doesn't help, but Red Bull has the advantage that Toronto doesn't. They get the second leg at home.
Yeah, where they've historically played much better. At least last year, that was the thing. So
yeah, at a 1-0, I'm not terribly worried.
You feel like you have more confidence in Red Bull then? Or
a teeny bit. Because again, one goal and then you're already in a situation to where you're potentially looking at extra time. Scoring 2 at home, it's not entirely far-fetched. Not entirely.
The problem with it being at home, though, is then you have the other team score, and you're already at a disadvantage. You have to score multiple times.
Right, but even again, you score 1 and you force an extra time situation. You give up 1, say you score 2, okay, you leave yourself maybe a little bit of time to score a third to ensure that you advance.
No, you're not wrong. I have more faith in Toronto just because they have played so well and they really have dedicated themselves to trying to win this thing. So I just want to see it.
If you had to put a gun to my head and you told me to pick one, I would pick Toronto simply because of the circumstances on America. That's why I said pressure's on them at Azteca. I don't know if there is any bit of a pressure team in this tie with the Red Bulls. Yes, Red Bulls are at home. Yes, they're expected to play well, but say even if it winds up as a 0-0 draw and they lose 1-0 on aggregate, that's still a hell of a run.
Which team do you think gets it done, Rachel? You think both, or just Toronto, or just Red Bull? Or
I think it's just going to be Toronto, and that's so hard to say because they have to go down to Azteca. But I like Chivas's odds against New York at home.
You think Toronto can actually beat both America and Chivas?
I don't know. I think Toronto and Chivas would come down to penalty kicks.
What do you think, Eric? That's a tall task. If you're able to do that, man, I think you totally earned it. I don't think you can say anything about, oh, Toronto got the easy road. You went through the two big Mexican teams to get the championship.
Doesn't the away goals rule go away in the final? And it's just a pure aggregate?
I think so. I'm not too sure. That would make sense.
So, yeah, if that's the case, it wouldn't surprise me if that second leg extra time and penalties. Because, I mean, say it winds up both matches are 1-1, and really, whoever hosts the second leg, you're going to have the slimmest of advantages in that matchup as well.
Yeah, no, certainly. It's a slim one, but again, the team that's shown everything so far this season is Toronto. Not in MLS this year, but certainly in CCL has been Toronto, and I don't want to go against them right now. Speaking of being surprising, though, after just totally being awful last season, Minnesota United has been sort of surprising. They faltered a bit as of late, but they still were able to sign a big player from Club America, and Darwin Quintero. He's 30, and he's won lots of championships, brings a lot of experience from Minnesota, something they need. And he's a guy that can play your number 10 role, or he can be a fantastic striker for you. So, Adrian Heath, big move for you, sir.
You won some of them fancy Mexican cups, don't you know?
God. Darwin Quintero, better get used to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Those accents and the cold and everything.
Remember, big time deal. Big time deal. That's how you're going to have to learn how to say it.
Minnesota United's first DP. So, cool for Darwin Quintero. That will be history for him. But quickly, let's just look at the rest of these. That Orlando City and Red Bulls game. What a show.
Woo! See, that's how you help teams and players get revenge. Still, the formation's kind of but this time it worked.
Toronto FC finally got off the snide there against Real Salt Lake on Friday. Vancouver beat Columbus 2-1. We talked about the El Tráfico, how that went down. Chicago and Portland drew 2-2. Atlanta won with an own goal.
Wait a minute. Is that what they're calling that derby?
El Tráfico, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Which, if you can't tell, that means the traffic in English.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking off of the Dodgers Angels. They call that the Freeway Series, so I can live with it.
It works. There's worse things that they could have called it, I guess. New York City defeats San Jose, thanks in part to a ridiculous hit by Tinnerholm. Just straight freaking one-timed it in the goal. It was nuts. Totally deserved a goal, or being Goal of the Week nominated. Another one that got that was Christian Penilla, Ecuadorian, comes in for New England. He does a bicycle like twice, just curls it around a player. Like, my lord, dude. Hats off to you, sir. Hats off on that one. In front of the 17,000 in BVA Compass. There. Sporting KC beat your DC United. I'm sorry.
No. Ben, I warned you about this, Ben. I tried to tell you about not trying and getting my hopes up, but you didn't listen, Ben, and this is what happens.
It's all Ben's fault.
Yeah, pretty much. Steady as she fails.
Dominic Badji got a hat trick and beat Philadelphia 3-0, and Montreal beat Seattle. I'm sorry, Rachel.
No, no, no. No, don't worry. We just have literally everyone injured.
That
And
helps too.
we can't go a match without getting a red card. It's fine. It's fine.
See, you at least having a
That
team that
sounds like it's fine and there's fire going on everywhere.
But no, see,
Sean, that's my life.
Rachel has a team that has excuses. Ben.
Maybe something needs to be done there in Seattle. Figure out something. You got to be able to overcome regardless. Right? Isn't that how that works? But thanks in part to that, New York City is still in the lead in the Eastern Conference, followed by Columbus and Atlanta. New England, Red Bull, and Montreal make up the playoff 6 right now. If it ended today, the Chicago Fire still have one lone point down there in last. And what do you know? DC United right in front of them with 2.
Yeah.
Ben, that's your fault, Ben.
Keep going, Ben. Keep on keeping on.
Sporting KC, Vancouver, Galaxy, LAFC, Minnesota United, and Dallas are your 6 that technically in the playoffs right now. Everybody else is pretty close, except for those Seattle Sounders. They are winless. 3 losses straight off.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's like, I don't want to talk about it at all. They are the only team in MLS that is winless right now. Hopefully they don't go on that long streak like Minnesota did, but
I just said I don't want to talk about it.
Relax. I mean, you know what? Never mind. I thought I had something encouraging, but I'm like, no. This is Seattle's pretty much only hope for the next 5-6 months. So, Rachel, I'm sorry.
Well, ESPN got themselves a thumper on Saturday with Atlanta and LAFC. That should be fun to watch. And ESPN, very quickly here, even though it's debuting one day before a couple of games, ESPN Plus apparently begins on April 12th, which is next week. And their first game that technically I guess you could watch on ESPN Plus at some point will be Philadelphia and Orlando on the 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So
ESPN Plus, I'm going to say this. You are very intriguing. But if you want to guarantee that you'll be taking $5 a month out of my wallet, I better also not only see some Orlando City, but little Australian rules better be mixed in there. Otherwise, nah.
I don't know if that's going to happen right away, but they do have various international friendlies. They do have college soccer. So, MLS, basically this becomes MLS Live. So for $5 a month instead of $80 a year, you get all the out-of-market games. Plus, if you have ESPN, you can watch it, I think, through there as well. You just have to, log in with your cable subscription or whatever.
Oh, really? Oh, well then, joke's on you, ESPN Plus. I will almost never say this, but thank you, Xfinity.
Yeah, ESPN Plus is basically like basically you're paying for ESPN 3 now. If you hadn't figured that out before, that's what you're doing. $5 a month is not too bad for all the stuff that they have. Plus you get MLS Live for that kind of a chunk. And it's supposed to have on demand. I don't think it's unlimited on demand like MLS Live is, but usually if you don't watch it within the first 30 days, you're not going back to watch those games anyway. So
No.
It should be interesting to see how it works. But all right, I think that's it for what we're going to cover on the show for this week. Technically, it will be next week when we are back on Sunday for the second U.S. Women's National Team game against Mexico and MLS wrap-up and everything else. So,
And kind of a quick primer on my second omission, the Champions League talk. Biggest things you'll see, they finally broke down and added the fourth sub for matches that go into extra time. Is good.
mm.
Benches are going to be a lot deeper because you'll now have 12 substitutions available. And there's slight differences in kickoff times. Most of them are only like 15 minutes back, so it would be around 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean instead of 8:45. So basically more matches are going to be kicking off in their prime time and right at the top of the hour.
Well, that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you're on Zlatan watch, he is playing the Fire on Univision. Or no, that's next week, damn it. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
No.
This weekend, he is playing...
Zlatan versus Schweinsteiger.
This weekend, he is playing on FS1 against Sporting KC. So, if you want to watch him and the Galaxy on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can... Geez, they're making you stay up late for that one.
Still not as intriguing as Zlatan v Schweinsteiger.
Is Schweinsteiger even playing right now?
You know, that's a good question.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
You know, I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, they play Columbus this week, so might want to get it together if he wants to.
Yeah, but yes.
Orlando's on ESPN this week too, so they're playing Portland.
Oh God! Let's see if Jason, whether or not he finally learns his lesson. I'm gonna place my bet on no.
And with that, thank you for listening. If you enjoy what you heard, you can always hit subscribe to Soccer to the Max or the whole W2M network and get everything we do, which includes Eric and I when Football to the Max comes back pretty soon. We also have the Wrestling to the Max games, other podcasts, entertainment stuff. I was on the Ready Player One review this week for Damn You Hollywood, so you can check that out as well. And yeah, always read Rachel's articles on Last Word on Soccer. She's been killing it over there, writing all the time. It's awesome work. You need to go read. And thank you to them for letting us be on Last Word Radio, which you can check us out through there as well. So iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube, anything that you listen to podcasts on, we are there in one way or another. So check us out, subscribe, write a review, let us know so we can move up the ranks and keep giving you great entertainment and to more people. Until Sunday at some point. See you later, everybody.
Peace.
Hasta la vista.
Baby.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.